Nice.
What's going on, everyone? I am your co host, Samuel Richardson,
And I'm Tierra Richardson.
and welcome to the Cuddle with Purpose show. Go ahead, T. What we talking about today?
So today, guys, we are just gonna talk briefly about this post that has been swarming around all over social media, um, in regards to this guy who put out on TikTok, what happened with him and his wife. So, just real quick, this basically what he said. He said, "My wife asked me for a $3,000 purse. I told her that that was a waste of money. She said, "Okay, no problem." Later on that week, I took her out to dinner. I see her pull out this $3,000 purse from our walk-in closet. I asked her where she got the bag. She said that her work husband got it for her. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So when I saw that, all I did was shake my head. I was like, "Wow, really, sis?" But then I saw it again, and I saw it again, and I saw it again, I saw it again, and so I was like, "Sam, I think we need to just talk to the people about this and just see what they think about it, because I know what I think about it, and I think it's a bunch of BS, to be honest. I think that sis is a little outright disrespectful, and I don't know how much respect she truly has for her husband. And it clearly shows that she has no boundaries whatsoever. I'm not. I don't quite get that. I don't get it at all.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's crazy. I don't particularly like it. If that's the case, I've always had the stance of you might as well should just not be married. You should, be single and you can date whoever you want to date, who's going to provide you the stuff that you like. If the materialistic things that you value, date someone that's going to provide you with all the materialistic things that you want. I mean, to me, it's not that deep. Because marriage is it's a lot deeper than materialistic things. I think for me, if this wasn't a prompt, I would say it was disrespectful to the husband.
Yeah.
I would say it makes her look thirsty and it makes her look very bad. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, um, you know, in relationships, there be times where you do have budgets. And if the husband had felt like that was not within their budget and within their means at this particular time, what's wrong with abiding by as far as on someone in a relationship that's thinking clearly and thinking about the finances perspective and saying that right now that's not something that we need to spend $3,000 on that. We got other things that we need to take care of, but then to go out there and obviously she had to communicate with this other guy about what she wanted. And for her to even do that, I think is out of bounds.
Completely out of bounds. I mean, the first of all, that work husband, work wife terminology, I've always thought was just ridiculous to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing when you are single and both of you guys are single. Maybe that may have maybe a little bit more appropriate, which I still think is kind of like off because now we talking HR, like y'all doing too much, right? And I'm sure y'all don't need to have a relationship at work. But now we're getting into the emotional aspect of this. Like this chick had to be like really talking some cash trash about her husband and really hot up for this purse, that this
Mm-hmm.
work husband felt the need that he had to go and invest $3,000 into a purse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just even going back to just the boundaries, like what type of relationship is this? You know, what type of standards do you even have in your relationship? Does your husband even know that you have a work husband?
Hmm.
You know, like what the hell does that mean? You have a work husband. Now, having a friend at work where you can actually communicate with, so y'all can just talk about things about work, even some things about life, of course, with having boundaries can help, of course, make the workday go much easier. Having somebody to even vent to about certain frustrations about work, maybe, or
Mm-hmm.
just life or dreams and aspirations, that's one thing. But
Mm-hmm.
now, when you're getting into the whole, I want to have this, and this is what I don't have at home, and this is what I would like to have, and this is what my husband at home isn't doing, but you can do
Mm-hmm.
this. Or then who knows even if this work husband has a spouse themselves, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
now you're taking it, you might be even taking out their household.
Right.
Like who knows if he has even bought the spouse at home a $3,000 purse. That's what I'm thinking about. Like, is this a is this a group effort? You know, because
Right.
you know, in the from the post, it doesn't say whether or not the husband was okay or if he even knows who this quote unquote work husband is. But sis was just outright disrespectful. Like, you don't go and get a whole gift from some work husband and your husband just told you no. And back to what you were saying, like, how irresponsible are you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm assuming he's telling you that you can't have this person at this time because y'all have a budget in mind or y'all have goals in mind. So
Mm-hmm.
you gonna sit here and disregard the plans that you have, disregard your husband as a leader saying, listen, honey, I didn't hear him say I would never get it for you. I didn't hear him say no, you can't have this at all. I just heard no, you can't have this right now. This is not a good idea right now. And so it just shows a level of immaturity to me as well.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
I think it comes from T. I think it comes from a point of from a financial perspective is financial maturity.
exactly.
And I think this is what it's all about when you're in a relationship. And this is why a lot of marriages get a divorce. If you look at it, it's from a financial perspective. From, someone in that marriage doesn't know how to handle money, someone in that marriage, or they're not making enough money, or, but it comes back to the point is what's the most important things that we need to accomplish together in this relationship. To me, materialistic things, there's nothing wrong with materialistic things as long as you have your main core things in order. And what I
Right.
mean by main core things, T, I'm talking about like making sure that your mortgage is paid every month,
Hmm.
making
Hmm.
sure that you have the lights on, making sure that the utility bills is paid, making sure that you're just able to take care of the necessity things. It's not a good look if you're weighing $3,000 pocketbooks, but
Hmm.
yet you're struggling to pay your mortgage. You're
Or
struggling to pay your car note.
right.
Go ahead.
Or even, I'm assuming if she's asking for it and they're married, she knows what's in their account, right? So she's seeing what's in their account, but what if this is coming out of your savings? What if this is coming out of your emergency
Mm-hmm.
funds? You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we already know that your rent and mortgage is basically 2 to 3 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, sis, you doing a whole lot. Somebody said the husband probably was working on a plan to get it and surprise her. Like, exactly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're now taking the power outside of your husband's ability to go surprise you with this thing, but now you going down to ask Joe Blow if he can get it. And now God knows how small he could have felt after seeing that another man goes and gets his wife. Oh yes, that's your word, right? They say
Uh,
emasculating him.
yeah, that's a part of emasculating your husband.
Yes.
Let me just say this, man. And the reason why I think conversations like this are so very important because you're starting to see a lot of emasculating that women are doing on men. I'm
Hmm.
seeing it a lot. I'm seeing it done on a consistent basis. Certain things like this, you have to be so very careful. I think we can get so caught up in the image of things, of the specific image that we want to portray. And there's nothing wrong with having nice things. Don't get me wrong when I say that. But in
Right.
this particular situation, this does not warrant her to then go and talk to another man outside of her marriage to provide something for her. That is so emasculating to your husband because it can make him feel less than. Because just think about his feelings. If you, okay, so every time if I say no to something that you want right now, you're going to always go to this quote unquote work husband of yours and you're going to ask him for it. And if he provides this for you, what you think your husband going to think? Like, what else are you asking him for? What else is
Right.
he giving you?
Right.
Because I'm a firm believer is that nothing is for free. Nobody just goes and gives you something for free unless at some point in time they're going to cash in what they are providing for you.
Right. And what is it that you guys are already doing? Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the big question. Like, why does he feel comfortable enough to even give you whether he gave you the funds to get it
Right.
or he went to go get it. So now, because $3,000 is not something that you can necessarily hide if it slides into our account, especially if we got a joint account. So that means sis got a side account. All
Mm-hmm.
right, sis is hide things. He done gone to Cash App her. He done went and Venmo sis, and she out here hiding it. And then her husband is only seeing it when she pulls it out the closet.
Hmm.
Now, for me, if a husband even recognizes that you have a new purse, that means that seems like somebody who might be able to pay close attention. That means that he knows what you have in your possession. He
Facts.
knows what is something new. So at this point, he's aware.
Facts.
He's aware of what you got going on. And I think
Facts.
this just goes back to where I know everybody has their own type of relationships, everybody has their own type of marriages, but I think that this is where where I continue to see how marriage and the boundaries and the things that should happen into marriage is being watered down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like people are not operating in the confines of what that really means. And I feel like a lot of people feel like that terminology, work husband, work wife, is cute. It is not cute. It's not cute. It's nothing cute about it. That shit is disrespectful. It makes you look real sus. It makes you look real loose, especially if you're a woman and you just a hoe. If you a man, like I've literally seen this in the work environment, and it's so
Mm-hmm.
disturbing, especially seeing where you see the other spouse come to work and everybody else on the job knows what's going on.
Mm.
Or you
Mm.
see or it turns into, it's not even just the thing that's happening in between the two individuals that have now created this relationship, but now
Mm-hmm.
you got everybody gossiping about it.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these side conversations that's going on.
Right.
You now start to see favoritism. within the workplace.
Right.
So it's so many different layers of this relationship that can make everything go left. And I think that at some point, people need to grow up. I think at some point, people need to really be with the people who they need to be with versus stop settling. Like if that's not who you want to be with, if this is not who you want to respect, then why the hell you decided to marry them?
Mm,
Like, why are you with them? What
mm.
is really the point?
I like to talk about this. This is what situations like this can lead to a very toxic situation. Like one of our listeners are actually commenting in. Sometimes this is what can lead to like crimes, like crime of passion, things of that nature.
Mm,
So, and I think it's so very important to draw out because as one of our listeners has said, pulling innocent people into drama. I like to kind of expound on that a little bit on that comment on what they said because quite frankly, it can actually lead to a dramatic or emotional trauma, or it could be a trigger for that husband where he can take it upon himself to do something maliciously and to do
right.
something that is out of his control from a mental perspective because he has lost it because now he feels that another man is actually traveling on his territory. And
Mhm,
especially if you have a husband that's very territorial,
mhm,
as a husband should be protective of his queen, be supportive of his queen, and then you have
right.
another man that's coming in, all type of thoughts that could be going through this husband's mind. And the person who actually created this type of emotional trauma is the spouse by actually
Yeah,
saying, I got it from my work husband. Come on, man. Because let me just tell you this. The actual, because I wanted to know the real definition of the work husband.
right.
It says that a work spouse is a co-worker of the opposite sex with whom you have a close platonic relationship with. In
Mhm,
many ways, these relationships can mirror a real marriage. According to a 2007 survey from Vault.com, a career information website said 23% of workers reported that they had a work spouse. So this is an actual real situation where you have women out here that are saying that I have a work husband that I have at work. And sometimes, man, it just brings up a point is how far are we going with this work husband? Are you going with
right.
the outside of work too? Are they providing other things than just materialistic things? And
Okay.
is that let me ask you a question, T. Could that be a contributing factor that they are unhappy with the husband that they are with?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, because I've literally seen people confide in their work spouse. Like if you already have women that confide into their friends at work. They got that one girlfriend that they go and they talk to and they tell almost all their dang on business to. But now you have this husband that you telling all the problems to, and now they feel like, oh yeah, well I got the same issues going on,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Mm-hmm.
now we can confide in each other. And
Mm.
now you have the situation where not only are they talking and communicating at work, now they texting and they communicating after hours, which is very
Mm.
inappropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's kind of like expound on it a little bit more. Um, when it says like there are 7 signs, and this is what a CNN survey has said, is that there are 7 signs that you can have a work spouse. Um, One of them could be, do you depend on a particular coworker or a man that you work with for office supplies, snacks, and aspirin? I thought that's very interesting. Number two, it says that there are inside jokes that you and a specific coworker share. That's interesting right there. Then it said sign number three is that you can be bluntly honest with this person, this work spouse, about his or her appearance, hygiene or hair and vice versa, and you're comfortable enough to point out that the other's hair is sticking up or that someone's fly is down. Now, sign number four, it says when something eventful happens at work, this coworker is the first person you seek out for a debriefing. Sign number five is at breakfast, lunch, and coffee breaks. Your closest coworker who you're close with knows what to order for you and how you like your coffee, and vice versa. Number six sign is you and your coworker can finish each other's sentences. Sign number seven is someone in your office knows almost as much about your personal life as your best friend or real life spouse does.
Mm. You know what I when I was listening to you, what I realized the biggest benefit of people having a work spouse is that they don't have to take them home.
Yeah.
The a lot I've heard this terminology a lot. Come see me is not like come stay with me.
Mm,
And when you can all you have to do is see a person for 8 to 10 hours a day, it's completely different from having to go home and live with the person and see all of the other nuances and behaviors that they may display at home. And
mm,
so they can commit to that limited part of a person because they don't see the most annoying parts that the
yeah.
spouse has to endure. Now, some of the things that you named, that really does go on with like girlfriends at work. So I actually, it's funny because I can actually relate to some of those. But when it comes down to the additional pieces of it, I think that that's when it goes left. And I think that's also when it goes wrong when you're talking about the opposite sex. I think
Mm-hmm.
the biggest issues because when we're talking about the opposite sex, and I think the added part to it is the attraction that a person may have because they didn't mention the physical and the emotional attraction. I think that's where a lot of people dismiss it and it needs to be addressed.
T, remember we was talking about another topic, and I think it can kind of go coexist with this topic with the work husband. Is that remember we was talking about as another topic about is it okay for the wife to still be in contact with someone from the opposite sex who they had sex with, who they had sexual relations with? Is that
Right.
okay? And I
Mhm.
think that is something is that, it is something that's profound when you say a work husband, because as you mentioned, is that they're leaving out the actual physical appearance or physical attraction side
Mhm.
of it, and they're leaving out the emotional side of it. And you have to ask yourself the question, is that we are humans, and with
Right.
humans we have feelings. So
Mhm.
if you're still connected with someone that you have had sexual relations with, and
Mhm.
especially if the sex was good and things of that nature, and you love that person at one point, and you still have that type of connection with them, even though the wife may say that, we're just friends. But
Right.
how serious could that be that that can have a problem within the marriage?
Right.
Is that somewhat similar as far as when you're talking about a work husband?
I think that there could definitely be a correlation to it. I know
Mm-hmm.
for me, early on, like come from a place of being single as a single woman and just operating in the way that I operated my life. When we first got in a relationship and not even knowing that it was going to go into marriage, but it went into that. When we first started dating, that was a conversation and an issue that actually came up with because I didn't see actually nothing wrong with it, like at all. Because I was like, okay, I hadn't seen this person in years. There was no relation or none of that. Yeah, we didn't haven't had those type of conversations or nothing like that. And so for me, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like this is because of a lack of maturity. But then as I thought about it more, as we communicated more about it, as I grew into and really understood the the importance of marriage and how you can't operate the same way, I understand today how
Mm-hmm.
no, that shit it ain't gonna fly. Like it's not gonna work because you're leaving the door open
Mm-hmm.
for different thoughts. You're leaving the door open
That's a
for
gem.
a random conversation. You're leaving the door open just for whatever, you know? And I think that it's so important just to cut things right off at the root and just leave it as it is. So I feel like, yeah, there may be some people that can operate like that, but in my opinion, and knowing where we are today and having to have a better understanding, I think it's really important. Just cut that shit off, move forward. There's no need for you to even have a conversation with them because it's not going to hurt you. You don't have to have that person in your life that was then, this is now. And so yeah.
Yeah, I think cause oftentimes it can lead to a tick for tack situation unknowingly because what can happen is, oh, okay, then that's what we doing. Oh, okay, then so that means I could still be in contact and friends with women who I was involved with, and we could still have conversation. And it's kind of naive to think that if you still in contact and y'all had sexual relations together, that at some point in the communication something may pop out and be said that's kind of like regards to some type of connection that y'all have, and then you can let that go. But then if you don't put a check on it, then one thing could be said, then you could say a sly thing, and then next thing you know, you in a hot situation where if you're not careful, you may, if you don't have that Joseph spirit, since it's Sunday, that Joseph spirit was, remember when he
Better
was
flee.
with the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh's wife had a thing for Joseph, and Joseph was always moving around in the Pharaoh's palace until the
Mhm.
Pharaoh had to go off somewhere, and then the Pharaoh's wife had said to Joseph, I got to have you.
I
I
gotta have
need you.
you. I need
But
you, baby.
but but the Bible said that Joseph rejected it and ran off. He ran off so quickly that the Pharaoh's wife had tore his clothing of his robe. So what I'm saying to my men out here is that if you don't have a Joseph spirit,
Mhm.
a Joseph mentality, the ability to run when you know you're
Mhm.
going into a hot sexual situation. You don't need to be involved with someone that that looks attractive, that
Mhm.
that's seductive, and
Mhm.
that has, everything that you want in your lustful desires, and knowing that you have a wife at home, that could be a recipe for disaster.
But I want to just also go into be outside of the sexual, because there's a lot of people that don't even get to the point of having sexual connections or anything. I think that the biggest thing that I would say when we go back to our topic of the the work husband is more so of the emotional part of it. I think that that emotional aspect of it leans towards that there's a certain level of love that could even be there. And I think that that's where you're getting into there's like a pre-affair going on because I feel like there can be an emotional affair.
Mm,
If you're getting into um I guess really confiding into somebody, um loving and feel like you in love with somebody, if you were to lose them, if they were to leave the job or whatever the case is, or something were to happen to them or
mhm.
something like that, I think that that might be even worse because we know people can have sex and there doesn't have to be any emotional ties to it.
So
But when
okay,
you're talking
let me stop
about
right there. Let me stop right there. Do you feel that women can be more emotionally involved when they have sex with a man than rather a man have sex with a woman and not have any emotions with it. They're like, hey man, I'm hit it. Hey, I'm cool. But whether a woman, like you said, it's that emotions evolve because women are emotional. And when you're talking about from an emotional perspective as a work need a work husband, is because that man can provide certain things that allows them to feel so emotionally vulnerable.
Very true. I think women are emotional individuals, but I feel like men are too, to a certain extent, especially if they meet the right woman, they can get that emotional attachment.
Mm-hmm.
But I also will say that women can have sex and not have any emotional ties because women have that ability just as well as men.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right, so I think that's really the topic of today, far as with the work spouse and is it okay? So y'all chime in. Do y'all feel that it's okay to have a work spouse? Yay or nay? Till
yeah,
then, man, y'all take care until the next live video that we're going to be having on this Wednesday. We'll post it out there and then we'll be looking forward to y'all to tune in on our next live video. Till then, y'all take care. From Cuddle with Purpose to all our supporters, be
yes,
blessed.
cuddle with purpose. Later.